Hello. Welcome back to Amber Unabridged. I'm Amber.
I'm Aaron.
And we're here for hashtag Read Genji. Um, we recently read chapters 3 and 4 of the Tale of Genji. We're reading unabridged copies because ain't nobody trying to read abridged stories. Even though, honestly, I would get it for this one, but
Yeah, I mean, we're reading, some of us were reading The Witching Hour and thought maybe the abridged version would be okay for that. But that's a whole nother discussion for another
that's a
live show.
whole other that's a whole other discussion. Although I will say that I don't think I could read the abridged version of that either. I think I hate Anne Rice. I think her and I have ended our relationship on bad
Yeah,
terms.
I don't. I think this is the last I'm gonna read of her too. I'm just not her reader. Is what it is. How I'll put it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that in my soul.
Yeah, but this, however, I don't know if I'm the reader for this too, but I'm reading it anyway because it's it's the first novel, so there's like, as a reader, there's like cultural expectations, I guess, too.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I feel like, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't read I have like a little guidebook for the Tale of Genji, and I didn't read
Oh,
it for
cool.
these chapters. So, well, we can just catch up on that for our next
There we go.
session.
Yeah, for another time.
Yeah, exactly. This is all real casual anyway, like, so for anyone who's new, who's unaware of the Tale of Genji, it's a big book. It is the oldest novel in existence. It was written by Murasaki Shikibu in the 11th century, I believe.
Yes.
And okay, thank you for verifying. And it's just this basically sort of kind of epic novel of court life, but and it follows the life of Genji and sort of pre-birth, and from what I've heard, it goes into a little bit after he passes away as well.
Okay.
So no idea what they're going to talk about then, because it's not going to be him and how pretty he is and
Right, and
all the
his
people he's sleeping with.
womanizing.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah. So let's see. Chapter 1 essentially was just telling that he's the son of the emperor. He's like the favorite son because he's so pretty, and just reinforcing more people talking about how pretty Genji is. And so,
Yep.
yeah.
But he can't be. Oh, yeah, what?
Well, and really all I remember about chapter 2 is that he obviously takes advantage of this, and he's a sexual assaulter at the least and a rapist at the worst. So.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, multiple times. Like, multiple times. Genji
Yeah.
is a dick. Nobody likes
Yeah.
Genji. Except for everybody who likes Genji, because he's so pretty.
Right.
But,
And they're just trying to maintain favor with the emperor or whatever.
yeah. And in,
Court life, that stuff.
And in 900 years, apparently society hasn't changed all that much.
Right.
So fame and money and looks, and you can get away with all kinds of really terrible things. But yeah, so yeah, that's the long and short. If you are watching this video and you're not familiar with the first 2 chapters, Aaron has videos on his channel, and I have videos on my channel. I believe we each have a playlist going of Genji, hashtag Read Genji videos. So go watch them all. You'll get all kinds of caught up. So yeah. So now we can talk about chapter 3 and chapter 4. So what did you think? What were some of your first impressions of? Let's start with chapter 3.
Chapter 3 was like more of the same. Like that just, it's like, so he was pursuing a woman he assaulted in chapter 2 because he wanted to have her again, and he was using her brother, her like child, like I'm imagining a 5-6-year-old, little
Oh, I
boy
was
to.
imagining like a teenager,
Oh,
but
really? Okay.
yeah,
But
I guess
it's not clear. Yeah.
it's really not clear, but honestly, could be either.
Right. In which it's it's not clear whether he had like inappropriate relations with the boy as well, because he talks about how cute he finds the boy also, and entertaining enough, I think, were
Hmm.
his words at some point. But
I
anyway,
mhm. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yep.
he's going after this woman again, but she's like with a friend of hers and knows what Genji's up to, is trying to sneak into the room. And so she just like pieces out and leaves her friend in there. And Genji's just like, well, whatever, I guess this works. And that's what I got from chapter 3.
Yep. Yep. Um. So yeah, sorry, I was trying to look up. I was trying to look up a word too, and it just it doesn't matter. But no. So I got the impression, chapter 3, that it confirmed that he did have some sort of sexual relations with the boy,
Mm,
in his frustration that he
yeah.
couldn't get with the sister. Um, but I can't quite remember. Like at one point, he found. I'm reading my notes right here. He's like, he found the boy prostrate and in tears. And Genji was just thinking about how attractive and adorable he is. And I was like, what a fucking sadist.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, man. My notes are savage. Um, but like, but yeah, like, but like, this boy is still really interested in running errands for Genji. So it's like,
Hmm.
is he falling into the whole, like, well, at least he's pretty, like,
Yeah. We don't really get much. So the perspective changes are quite often in this, like, paragraph to paragraph,
mhm,
which, there really weren't. I mean, one is translated, and there probably weren't strict novel writing, obviously novel writing rules back in the time. So I don't think we'd gotten much perspective from the boy himself. Um,
right.
from his feelings. So
Mhm.
it could just be he's just likes that the son of the emperor, one of the sons of the emperors, is giving him favor. Who knows? Who knows what
Yeah.
his motivations are?
Yeah. And I found so I think speaking of like perception, like point of view, like
Perspective.
changes
Yeah.
perspective. Thank you. I was like, there's a word for it. Um I noticed towards the end of chapter 4 that it's just like, oh, and you may be wondering why, such and such. And it's sort of like, oh, the person who's writing the book is like speaking to you, the reader. And I was like, oh, that's
Right.
kind of an interesting way to break the fourth wall. Like,
Hmm.
and at some point she called out Genji, get him away with stuff. Um,
Yeah. So I did appreciate chapter 4 more than any of the previous chapters, because he gets some comeuppance, and at least the author themselves is calling out his awful behavior.
yeah, yeah, I loved it. So, so yeah, I guess we're talking about chapter 4 now too. So, um, okay, so I rushed through chapter 4.
Hmm.
I was listening to it on audio because I have the physical book, but I have the first half of the Tale of Genji in the same translation that I have on as an audiobook also.
Okay.
Um, so that, if I'm like, oh man, I didn't plan properly. Whoops.
It's all
Um,
right. I was reading till like the last minute before the broadcast here, so I get it.
oh man, honestly, I probably would have, but I was at work, and so like I literally ran out to my car during my lunch break so I could keep listening to chapter 4. And I was like, because I don't think anybody wants to walk in on me listening to this ancient Japanese story about this like little rapist. So
Right.
just
Yeah.
oh man. Also, for the record, I do not find rape entertaining. I think we're just laughing through our pain.
Yeah, we're laughing for how uncomfortable this book makes us feel.
Yeah.
It's quite
Because the
honest.
whole time it doesn't go into anything graphic. It's just like, oh, and
Mm-mm.
then he pursued her and she knew it was wrong, but he was so beautiful. And then there's all the poetry and the dew on the leaves and the flowers and the reeds and all of the different plants doing different things and being poetic, and it's all told like it's a like he's this grand hero and this is a great love story. So
Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. I didn't want to. I didn't want you all to experience that.
appreciated, but you're good.
I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good for now. Uh,
Fantastic.
yeah, and also on top of that, I don't know if this is just his ego or if it's actually how his victims feel, but he seems to think that all of them miss him after he has become bored with them, and that like they expected him to like take them as bride or something. I don't know, but I don't know what if that's just his own just bended sense of reality.
Man, I don't know. Apparently he's the greatest lover of all time. So
Right.
I mean, they probably all miss him, you know. But
Obviously.
obviously. But yeah, like when because I mean in chapter 4 he actually I had this great idea before I forget to mention it. I had this great
Mhm.
idea that as we read future chapters, we should count how many people he hooks up with in each chapter. Like, are we meeting new people? Are they people from the past? We
And did
should
that get a little confusing in chapter 4 for you too?
yes.
Like there was a woman and then her stepdaughter, but I think he slept with both of them.
Oh shit,
I
did he?
I don't but chapter 4 had a lot of women characters that were often just referred to as the woman. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't just one, you know.
Yeah.
It's because
Um
they're yeah.
yeah, so pretty much none of the women in this book have names. From what I have read
Mhm.
about the book and so far experienced, um, everybody is referred to by like where they live or what they look
Mhm.
like or what line of poetry Genji is thinking of because of them,
Uh-huh.
or what have you. So um, I know that one of the women in chapter 4 is
Hi,
what
Cameron.
the
Yeah,
chapter is named after.
there is one named woman, Ukan, I think. I
Okay.
don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly,
I
but
listened to it. So how do you spell it?
Ukon.
Yukon.
Uko. Okay. And so she was the one that I'm not sure how she related to the woman that died. So Genji was very obsessed with this young woman,
Mm-hmm.
but she was like the daughter of a fisherman, I think is what was mentioned. And he has this, I don't know, like weeks long affairs with her, but she ends up dying after he sees a spirit, an evil, this beautiful spirit in the night. Um, but Ukon was the woman that was, I guess, chaperoning that, or was there as like cover or something, and he made her sit with like the dead body until until like the more competent people showed up. At this
Yeah,
point.
the priest or whoever.
Yeah, there was a like a lower lord that was kind of helping him cover for it too. I can't remember what his name was. I
Okay.
can't find it here. Um, oh, Koremitsu. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So he was kind of like helping him participate in this affair, and so, but those are yeah. There's not too many other named characters in this besides Genji. So
Mm-hmm. So what I don't remember the stepdaughter and like the woman and stepdaughter situation. Um I've like you mentioned it and I vaguely recall, but I don't So that must have been, was that right at the beginning of chapter 4?
So it was at the beginning and it was at the end too. So I think it was, so he was visiting some woman who was like, who was dying, who I think was like one of his nurses in young childhood or something that he had some kind of social connection with. But their neighbor was, one of them was the woman he became obsessed with. But I think there were multiple women that lived in that house. That's that's what I took away from it. Although it was confusing with the amount of women without names.
So I thought that was him lying. I thought that was him covering his tracks. So, okay, so here's how I interpret
Okay.
it.
Yes, please.
I think something happened in the beginning. I don't remember. That's fine. But then it mentioned this woman that lived in Rokujo, which is the sixth lane or sixth row or whatever. So he lives in Nijo, which is 2, the second. Like, and they're numbered from the length from the palace.
Okay.
So he lives in 2, or his wife lives in 2, and then this other woman lives in 6. And I just know that because I remember how to count to 10 in Japanese. So Roku is 6. Yeah. And so like she lives there. And then I think I remember it saying like, oh, he remembered on that rainy night when he was talking with Tono Chujo that like he had a lover who lived here, and he said that like they were close or whatever, and that sometimes it can be nice to hook up with women of other classes. So he basically like lowered himself to be with this woman, and so he was hooking up with her for a while, but then he was like being discreet about it because like his best friend, who was also his brother-in-law, because it's his wife's sister, it was his lover first. So he's just like, I'm just gonna be real chill, and I don't want her to know who I am, but we're gonna bang down. So like that happens, and then he's just like, well, I don't want to get caught, so I'm gonna back away for a bit. And then he went, somehow he met this other woman, and then they ended up in this like weird cabin in the woods or whatever. And then like he was thinking about the Rokujo woman, and he's like, oh man, she gets really jealous. And then he saw the scary like ghost woman, which I think was supposed to be like her jealousy, like cursing this other woman. Which, like, why wouldn't you curse Genji? He's the one cheating on you.
Right.
And everybody. He cheats on everybody with everybody else. Like, there's probably not a single person in the whole court life area that's safe from his.
Like, the extreme hedonism within him of just, oh, I like you. We're gonna do it. I'll make it happen.
Yeah. So then they saw the ghost, and then she got real sick, and then she died. And then he got sick because he was around death or touched her while she was dead or whatever. But then like he was like, oh shit, what do I do with his body? And then that's when all that stuff happened. But then like he didn't want anyone to know that he was with her either, because even though he sleeps with everybody, it's always a secret.
Yeah. Or everyone at least pretends it's a secret.
Yeah, exactly. So they have to like discreetly remove her body, but like because he was gone for a while, then like everyone's just like, oh, everyone who she lived with in, I think, Gojo, like the 5th row from the palace. Apparently she lived there, I think, with all the women, like you mentioned. And then everyone's like, oh well, like we have to oh, and like her servant was distraught or whatever, or her caretaker or whatever.
Someone was distraught.
Yeah. And so she's like, we really have to tell them, and then that's when he said like, oh, you know, my caretakers so and so and so and so's servant died, and that's how I was exposed to like this taboo, this death taboo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what they called it. I didn't write it down.
Defilement. Defilement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think he was talking to Tono Chujo when he came up with that story.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and then he was really sick and everybody was sad about it.
Right, because he's so beautiful. How could someone so beautiful be sick? Right.
Yeah.
Just
He's the shining prince.
yeah.
Oh, and then yeah, and then oh yeah, and the whole time he was like completely heartbroken over the woman who died
Mm-hmm.
because he loved her so much, which was super evident before she actually died, and not just because he could be like, woe is me and my tragedy.
Uh-huh.
First I was rejected, and now my lover died. He has a hard life.
It's a very hard life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think his reasoning for loving her was how he went on some speech about how a woman malleable to her man is so attractive because they'll grow along the lines that their man wants them to. So she was subservient. So that's why he was in love with her.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I happen to know that is spoilers. That is some foreshadowing right there.
Oh.
So we've got that to look forward.
Yay.
Oh, yeah. Oh boy.
See, and I was hoping that like he might actually have some growth. I was like, okay, we've got some gross few chapters to begin with, but maybe he becomes a better person. Let's at the end of chapter 4, maybe he's going to do some self-reflecting and realize that he's a shitty person and should maybe do better. But apparently, that's not the case.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I would like to hope it would happen. Maybe it will, but I doubt it. I think we're in for a rough couple of 1,300 pages.
You're right. Well, and yeah, this book does not seem like it was plotted out. I feel like it was written in sections. Like it was just, it was pantsed all the way through because it's kind of because it's just seemed like so far just a collection of just events that Genji's gone through.
Mm-hmm. So I know I read somewhere or heard somewhere, can't reference it because I'm not 100%. It might be in that guide of mine, but Lady Murasaki probably actually like wrote sections of the book to hand out at court because she was actually like a servant in the royal court in Japan. And she probably handed it out as like entertainment and people could read them in whatever order.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, that like the sections were just like, issues of a periodical
Yep.
Entries in a blog story way back in feudal Japan.
I actually, fun fact, I just bought her diary semi recently. I bought her diary.
Okay.
It's like this big. So I feel like she probably wrote most of her thoughts about things in here.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe she.
That's probably a safer way to do it than to put it in her own feelings of the things at the time.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping to kind of like read that at some point as we're working through Genji, just see if it offers any interesting context or discussion points. So yeah. I just remembered there was this interesting part when I don't remember which of the ladies it was, but when he was worried about getting caught with one of them, he was like, well, if I get caught, I'll just have to say that we have a karmic connection and that I couldn't resist her. It was foretold. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you just decided that. In that case, why are you not karmically connected to everybody? I
Right. You know
mean,
what? Yeah. You know what that reminded me of is like your middle school crush, and you're like, if I feel this strongly about it, it's got to mean something, right? Even though it's all one sided and it's all in your head, like you put it out in the world that it's like meant to be.
mhm. We have 3 classes together. We're obviously soulmates.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm trying to look over my notes and see if like I have anything else that I wanted to like um if I have anything else that like I wrote down that's relevant. Um do you have any other like big things, any other like specific little things or
No, I didn't
big
I didn't read the
questions?
footnotes as much in this one because I was just trying to get through it, honestly. So
It's
and
also
honestly, I don't
poetry.
really understand a lot of the footnotes because they're usually just references to poetry and like essentially pop culture at the time,
Yeah.
and which I have no chance of understanding anyway. I guess
Mhm.
I have Google, I can look it up, but um, I haven't gone to that effort. I apologize. Um, but yeah, so yeah, no, not much more. Other than I'm disappointed that at the end of chapter 4, like it was the last few lines, I think. I've been accused of romancing, of pretending that because he was the son of an emperor, he had no faults. Now perhaps I shall be accused of having revealed too much. That's I feel like I was just hoping that there was going to be a corner turned. We're going to turn a corner here, and maybe the story was going to go into a better direction. But
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, it's going to be more awkward, gross drama. It sounds like.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, that was the phrasing in my edition is well, now I suppose that by exposing his sins, I will be censured for having said too much or for being spiteful.
Oh, interesting. Who?
Was That's the last sentence.
Okay, mine is translated by Edward G.
Side
Sedensticker.
sticker.
Side, yeah, Sedensticker.
Side and
Is
sticker.
that
That's how I pronounce it.
okay? Is that who translated yours?
No, I'm reading the Dennis Washburn translation.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So,
So
this will be fun.
yeah. Well, I thought that would be really interesting when you and Lane decided to read it with me, and then I saw that you had an abridged copy. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, listen, like listen, for some reason, I ended up before I sent you guys that one, I had 3 unabridged translations of the Tale of Genji because in my little nerd heart, I had dreams of reading each one and comparing them.
Right.
But
That
I'm
those
never gonna do that ever. I know this.
I don't blame you. That's not a project. I understand the ambition there, but yeah, that's nothing I'm ever gonna do.
Mhm.
Especially with how difficult it is to just read it through once.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
so I actually read an abridged version for college for one of my college classes. I had
Okay.
an Asian history class and we read an abridged version, and my abridged copy was from the side and sticker
Okay.
translation. So so I picked that up because I was like, oh cool, now it's the unabridged version of his. And I think that was probably the best. Well, that was a really good translation. I then the first copy I was given as a gift, and that's the Royal Tyler translation. And then this came out when I first wanted to try to read Genji back in like 2017, I think.
Okay.
So this is the newest translation.
All right. Gotcha.
Also, I don't know if you would have any interest in it. I'm assuming probably not. But if you do, I have um, a diary or a selected diary of Edward Seidensticker.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept a diary while he was translating the Tale of Genji. So I have that. Found it at
Okay.
a used bookstore. So just something. Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever get around to reading it, to be completely honest.
I'll probably read it, and even though I'm not reading, and that's why I wanted to get his translation too, because then I was like, I can, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna read one version. I like the way that this is translated. I really like the verbiage.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so interested in like specific phrases. Like I don't know. I just find it interesting. We can compare like phrasings. And
yeah, definitely. But yeah, you're not doing a thesis on this, so you don't need to do do all this extra work.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, that would be cool, but I'm just a nerdy enthusiast.
There's no problem with that.
Yeah, and so I just want to read it. I'm happy I can get other people to read it, even though it's like weird. And
yeah.
I'm sorry, but like, I feel like it's also an accomplishment. Like, you read this and you can be like, okay, well, I read the first novel ever written, so.
Right. Yeah. It's along the lines of like, if you actually read The Count of Monte Cristo, right?
Mm-hmm. War and Peace.
Exactly. Yeah.
And any of the big ones.
Uh-huh.
Except that nobody's heard of this one. So.
Right. Yeah. It's not talked about much, at least on BookTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I find it interesting, and I love that, like, I really like that we're starting to do like these discussion videos, which like even though nobody else popped in because I didn't get my shit together in time to like promote it at all.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that we can like talk about it and kind of have these exchanges, and like in the future we can probably even like compare like phrases that have been translated differently or
definitely
different stuff like that. So like, yeah, I like this format a lot more. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and no editing too. I can't argue with that. I love to not have to edit something.
Yo, I didn't realize how much I loved it until I knew how much I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I don't know that I have anything else to say about chapters 3 and 4. They were interesting. I'm sure the next section's going to be interesting, and
yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more unnamed characters that will have us confused and guessing at what's happening. But I think I'm going to be guessing at a lot of stuff throughout this whole book.
Yeah, probably. I'm just hoping that when we start getting into like changes like in different years and different decades and stuff, I'm hoping that we can still follow the characters that we were with the whole time. Because, like, I've heard that different translations, like, people are never referred to by name, they're referred to by title. But then, like, 10 years later, someone else has that title, and that is now how they are referred to. So, like, I think like, Genji's brother-in-law, Tono Chujo, like, that's, I think, frequently how he's referred to, but I think that's a title. So I think that if he gets promoted or something, then that could be someone else or I don't know.
Yeah. We'll just have to see how it goes.
Yep. It'll be a fun adventure. I'm still excited for this. Like, just be able to like finally read the unabridged version and say that I've read the unabridged version.
Yeah. One thing I did find interesting, or just had me thinking, was one of the footnotes. I don't think it was in this section, but it referred to there was a saying or something that Genji dropped, and the footnote said it's like, this is from a lost poem. Like, we don't. There's no record of it.
Yep.
And so it just brings to the front of your mind how much literature has been lost just to history.
I know. It makes me so sad. Like,
Yeah.
because there's other references like earlier in the couple chapters. I've seen the same footnote where it's like, this is referencing a poem that we can't find a complete copy of or
Yeah.
whatnot. And it's kind of like, I just find it interesting because it's like, and to kind of like bring back what you said earlier about like all of these poems that everyone's quoting at each other being like pop culture references. Like, they're pop culture references. That's what
Yeah.
everybody was reading and familiar with, at least all the cultured people.
The people that could read, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like that's what everyone knew, that's what everyone was referencing. But I just found it funny because I'm like, that would be like if someone was having if we were gonna be like, oh, like I yeeted this out the window,
Right.
you know, and someone's gonna be like, what's yeet? You know, it's like if you don't know that someone just filmed a thing and they just tossed something and said eat, like you don't know what I didn't know what it was until I looked it up because I was like, all right, I'm tired of not knowing this reference.
Right. Let's get on Know Your Meme and figure it
Exactly.
out.
Exactly. Like it's basically it's 11th century memes, Japanese memes. Well, usually Chinese poems probably for
Right.
the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
So
I just think it would be funny if someone wrote something in like this style today. Like this it's old, but it has an effect. Like if someone was like quoted the thong song into like some kind of like reference, you know. And the great words of Cisco. You know?
I have seen Shakespearean inspired rephrasings of I think Baby Got Back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. I might have also seen like a Shakespearean version of To the Window, to the Wall. I think. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's incredible.
I know.
Props to whoever
I
whoever
know,
did
right?
that. Yeah.
I love that. I love that for all of humanity.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly though, I do love the poetry in here. I do think it's really pretty. I think it is beautifully written. Which is why I think even though Genji is a terrible human being, I think it's worth reading. I don't understand the like glorifying Genji like
Yeah.
that tends to happen. And I think a lot of like modern Japanese folks like kind of glorify him as like their ancient hero.
Right. Yeah.
Like
And I
their
mean that's
lineage.
it is interesting. Like I watch a lot of anime and not to use anime as a direct reference to like Japanese current culture and contemporary times, but there does seem to be like the glorification of the playboy essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's
yeah,
probably inspired by Genji.
right, yeah, that's what I'm like thinking, when I'm reading this, and I
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. I was thinking, I was like, this is very much written to the male gaze, and so, but it was a woman that wrote this, and so was that just she knew she had to write it in that way, like she couldn't be critical of the culture at the time, and like, or yeah, the motivations of making Genji this way is something I think about a lot.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I also wonder if like because like she does call him out on occasion, I'm wondering if
Mhm.
the whole thing is supposed to be satire. But
Right,
like
yeah, right.
nobody can tell.
Yeah, we can't ask her,
Yeah. Well, because like I have this note for the end of chapter 3. It says such a conclusion, of course, merely revealed the shallowness of his fickle heart. And I'm like, are we all being punked? Like,
Right, yeah, was she the Jane Austen of ancient Japanese culture?
right? Just like I'm observing all these people, so I'm gonna write this character who's so outlandish, but like low key based on real people in the corner.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, honestly, that's part of why I bought her diary, because I was like, I wonder if she did say anything about it. Like, I'm
Right.
really
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. You should let me know
Oh,
how the reading of that goes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, it's just so fascinating to think about it. Just the context and like all the missing poetry, and
Uh-huh.
which is like sad. And then you think about how many other pieces of art are lost
I
to history.
know, right? Yeah.
It's wild. Oh, well, I can't think of anything else like right now. I'm sure I'll think of like 5 things as soon as we sign off, but like I
Yeah.
can't
Hey,
think of
we can
anything
just
else.
save it for next time.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. All right. Do you have anything else? Any final thoughts?
No, I'm as weird as it is, I'm looking forward to continuing on.
Same. All right. Well, I really appreciate you joining me today.
Of course, anytime.
Heck yeah. And we'll probably read the next chapter or two, chapters 5, maybe 6, and talk about it soon. I'll actually post about it on Twitter and YouTube. I'll do some little promotion stuff. I'll figure that out.
All right, I'll be ready with my retweet button. So, yeah.
Heck yeah. And hopefully Lane can join us next time. And
yeah, I hope so. I don't know if they'll want to. Maybe they'll just pick up where we are. I don't know if they're going to want to catch back up. So we'll see. We'll see.
I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them at all. You just watch this video. We spell everything out so clearly.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Perfect video summary.
That's right. You base your college thesis on this shit.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks so much. I had so much fun talking about the Tale of Genji with you tonight.
I did too.
And I hope you have a good rest of your night. And I hope anybody who watches this video later also has a great time. And I'll catch you on the flip side.
All right. Catch you then.
All right.